nurture their human capital with innovation competencies. Naveen Lakor is a serial entrepreneur turned innovation coach. Naveen loves to inspire entrepreneurs and enterprises to innovate and guide them to grow in the right direction. In his professional career spanning 25 plus years in the industry worldwide, he has co founded several innovative companies. He has also been a catalyst for 250 plus ideas to have become commercial realities. He's passionate about sharing his practical knowledge of building companies and nurturing ideas. He brings to the table his personal experience of a few unique combination of systemic innovation and tactical innovation, which is systemic innovation stands for a structured and scalable approach. Tactical innovation stands for a frugal and flexible approach. Besides his active engagement with industry, he indulges in writing books with international recognition and he loves telling business stories. So, to note a few, A Little Extra is a book for extraordinary results, Inseparable Twins, a book to inspire innovation, and Found, a book for ideation. Found has won many awards, such as the US Best Bookseller Award, Book Excellence Awards, and it has been the finalist at the International Book Awards and Best Book Awards. So, with the blessings of Lord Sai, I would graciously like to welcome our speaker of the day, Mr. Naveen Lakkar. Over to you, sir.
Hi, good evening to everybody. Very nice. Thank you, Sai, for your warm welcome and for that wonderful introduction and that little Sai welcome being there. So, thank you so much. Should I start my presentation? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. You can carry on, sir.
Okay, so let me share my screen and a presentation. Okay. So in the count of 3, 2, 1, it is starting, and here I go. I'm going to be talking on the topic, hopping onto entrepreneurship wagon. So you're all set to get into this wagon of entrepreneurship. First of all, very nice to e-meet many of you who are students and who are members of IEEE and technology enthusiasts and wanting to and aspiring to maybe become an entrepreneur, and maybe some of you are already one. So to all of you who are here, a very warm welcome. And let us look at what exactly do we plan to cover this evening. Okay, the agenda for this webinar, hopping onto entrepreneurship wagon. We will cover 5 things. We will touch on why entrepreneurship, first of all, and what is this wagon all about, and a few myths and few facts we will look at, and also a framework to follow. Maybe that is something which could help you in this whole journey. And then entrepreneurship ecosystem, a glance on that, and followed by question and answers. All right. So with that as an agenda, here is a little framework for today's talk in that case, right? So let's move to the question. There are many questions, I'm sure, running in your mind, and all the more with the topic saying, hopping onto entrepreneurship wagon. How do I hop onto it? First of all, what is it? How does it look like? Then, when should I hop in? And who should hop in? Should I be, or is it meant for me or not? Right? And where is this wagon all about? Where is it? Right? And first of all, the big question of why should I? Right? So I'm sure all of you have many questions running in your mind, and it is worth. And questions are more required than the answers, right? In the entrepreneurial journey, that's one of the mindset which has to be developed. We have to run behind more questions. We'll have to ask more questions, and that should be part of our life. It's not the answers which will get us to places. It's the kind of questions that we ask will help us to move forward in this journey, right? So even, how do I become an entrepreneur? So what does it take? What is that skill set, the mindset, and the tools, the techniques which are available? So when should I use what, and who should I approach, and who would be my customer? Then where are my customers actually, right? So finding them, and why should they even buy anything or engage you for any service at all? Like, so what is that unique proposition that you would have? So these are all the questions which would be there, countless questions, right? So, and it is worth it to have. Right? So if you are asking questions, then you are in the right path, and the more you seek, the more you will explore, and the more you will probably progress too. And with that learnings, right? So is it a safe journey? Is it a journey which is worth taking? Is it a vehicle for our career? So these are also some questions, as the young adults, that you should ask, and as students, because as a career path, typically after your engineering, you want to get into some corporate jobs, and you want to pursue your higher studies. And, so what is the entrepreneurship wagon about, right? So should you take that wagon for as your career, right? And when? Is it the right time now, or should I get more work experience before I jump into entrepreneurial venture, right? So these are all, again, worthy questions to ask. So I'm sure entrepreneurship wagon is ticked off many, many questions in your mind, and continue to think, continue to. We will try and answer a few here today, and both during my presentation, some of your questions might get addressed, and some will take it up during the Q&A, and maybe later also. We keep sharing whatever we can as knowledge, so it's there for you to grab it, right? So with lots of questions, let me jump into drawing some inspiration. We need inspiration. We need that, little push. They say even eagles need a push. So let me draw an inspiration from this book of mine by name A Little Extra. It's a book of illustrations for extraordinary results. Who doesn't aspire for extraordinary results? Everybody does, but I think majority of us think you need to do extraordinary things for extraordinary results. Actually, entrepreneurs have figured out, it is one of the key thing is just a little extra. That's the secret. And how do you develop that mindset, so that you can produce extraordinary results. So by drawing inspiration from this book, one of the illustrations I would like to quote here is, having a job is ordinary. Having a job is ordinary. Providing jobs is extraordinary. I think this is one of the inspiration for entrepreneurship. See, when I asked this question to my own self while I've been a serial entrepreneur, and my guru said, the three things which is become part of my inspiration as to why I'm doing what I'm doing now as a coach, as a mentor to startups, and as a coach for innovation in startups or enterprises. So how do you develop entrepreneurs, develop innovation, that skill set, right? So is the three things that I learned about, why entrepreneurship. First of all, entrepreneurs really look for a problem which is worth solving, and they solve, right? So they solve a problem out there, and it is worthy enough to be solved, right? That's the first thing as an inspiration as to why entrepreneurship. Second is that, it provides jobs. Than seeking jobs, this is a special community and set of people who look for opportunities not for just themselves, but how do they create jobs. And that's the very sustainable way to build an economy, right? Entrepreneurship is a very sustainable way to build an economy. Third is that, good people need to create wealth, and the entrepreneurs are wealth creators. So it is a very valuable journey that way. So the three things as to why entrepreneurship: they solve some problem which is worth solving. Second is they create jobs. The third is that they are wealth creators, and which could be socially relevant and impactful, right? So these are top three things as to why entrepreneurship. And of course, these are possible even otherwise, but here those are three main objectives which will come in as part of the journey itself, right? So with this as a quote, I would like to share one example of a company by name Rural Shores and an entrepreneur by name Murli Ulaganti as an example, right? Indian origin person. So he studied here, did his engineering, MTech, BITS Pilani, and then went to USA, was working in financial services industry, and then he looked at even working from Manhattan and working for large financial institutions in the technology field, right? And then they figured out it is so expensive working from Manhattan, having teams out there, and why not extend and use technology, and why not get the technology work from off-site, beyond your site, from your headquarters, but why not from an off-site? Then it became that successful that then they said, why not onshore, but it is not in your location, right? On site, but it is onshore. So then they said, if it is from New York, why not do it from Texas? So and then they said, why not? If it is possible from there, why not offshore? And these kind of work started coming to places like India, right? So India, Philippines, and many other countries beyond their headquarters, beyond their shores. And that is how it became offshore. And we all were a part of this technology waves, to bringing these work, doing it from different locations, and globalizing this world, right? Anywhere in the world, you're still connected and you're able to contribute. So that became offshore. So with again technology help, and he said, uh, when we did this offshore models, he realized that so much of youth, many of these young adults, they're all moving from rural places, looking out for jobs, and coming to the urbanization happening, coming to big cities, struggling, and away from family. So why not we develop a model that we take jobs to the rural, engage them, engage the youth, provide them training, and then get them to do the jobs without compromising quality, right? Sticking to the norms that the industries would do. And thousands of youth they engaged, and people didn't believe, and they named it as Rural Shores, and went on to even be recognized for Edison Awards, which was the second Indian company to have won in the social impact category, the Edison Award for innovation. So here is an example of somebody who thought, why can't we take jobs to rural rather than bringing people to the jobs, right? Thousands of people, and the sustainability there. Phenomenal work. People didn't believe, but it is all a reality. Today, that model as People Shores. So he's an award-winning entrepreneur with a big social impact and a social enterprise, created a new enterprise called People Shores in USA, and making waves when everybody else is losing jobs because of the COVID challenge. Here is a company which is saying, hey, we have a lot of jobs now because the companies are looking at for the migrant population. They are able to create jobs, and those jobs being done even from rural places. So here is a model and an opportunity for more youth to embrace and a proven structure, maybe the need of the hour, right? One example, having a job is ordinary, providing jobs is extraordinary. So, with that as an inspiration and an example, let me move to uh, and say that, as Zoe says, Zoe is a character, interesting character, is a imaginary character of is an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, and an innovator. So he says, giving an example is ordinary, being an example is extraordinary. Giving an example is ordinary, being an example is extraordinary, right? So, well, I did give an example of Rural Shores, which is also now People Shores, and Murli Ulaganti as an example of an entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur, Indian origin, made it big, and providing a lot of jobs. So, let me also give you another example of a young person, how he ventured into entrepreneurial journey and what he did. So his name is Ritesh Agarwal. I'm sure a lot of you know him, and he is the young billionaire in the world. I think an interesting journey that he has had, and his entrepreneurial wagon that he chose to hop into was started in a small place in Odisha. And as a young teenager, he saw that, and he wanted to travel. He was observing a lot of people who would come travel for business, but they were struggling to stay and their comfort wasn't there. And then he also witnessed that there were many small hotels, but underutilized. They were not equipped well. So he started figuring out. He said, why not we take this as an opportunity, do a little makeup to this place, make it look good and worthy for the price somebody would pay. And he proposed, saying if he helped these hotels to make it over and help them for better utilization and bookings, would they be interested? So why would they say no? They said yes, it's an additional revenue and opportunity for business. They said yes, and then he tried that, and in fact, it did work. And then he went on to think, why not do this as a business? And so for that, what did he do? He traveled around so much, stayed in hundreds of hotels, pulled in some money, even though his family didn't have enough resources to support him, but he managed. And all that struggle that he took, and as a teenager, and as a in his late teens, he decided to launch it as Oyo Rooms, and from there, it is no looking back, getting a lot of support, investments, and going global. Of course, it's going through big challenges now, but then he also set an example, saying, when this quarantining was a requirement, he was one of those first members to represent, because hospitality industry is impacted big time, and he was the first one to say we can probably provide Oyo rooms as the quarantine facility for those who travel and they need to stay, and even offered for when these doctors and healthcare professionals themselves were denied to go back to their homes, and their neighborhood were very concerned. So they made provisions for them to stay. So it's a phenomenal example of somebody from a rural place and making it big in the whole world as an entrepreneurial journey, going through what it takes, walking the 9 yards, and making it to the top. And this also means there's nothing called on the top. Once you reach there, you obviously are an example. Others are looking up to you. The whole hospitality industry is looking up to him. And he was even representing in the MSME meetings for hospitality industry, right? He's become a thought leader in his 20s. And here is an example for entrepreneurship, right? Another one I would like to give as an example is uh, today happens to be a very special day of the Ramadan. It's the Eid, and Mustafa is one example of the ID food that he created. Very interesting personality, again, came from rural place without any background of entrepreneurship, but he chose, and he's now become an example in even in Harvard and whatnot globally, and the kind of innovations, the grassroots level, how he learns, and how he learns from the nature, from the customers, figuring out what are the pain points which are there and how do we cater to that. And food industry, he was telling recently that while the lockdown happened, all other businesses was going down, while his business grew multiple times, and they were able to cater to the market, grow at a much faster pace, at with limited resources, right? And with so many outlets, the manufacturing processes being shut, and then later how they got permission because it was an essential services and commodities. So it's opportunity, and here is an example of a young entrepreneur out of college, but then creating phenomenal impact and the innovations. The simple but very impactful. Very interesting to see, how they created this packet for making vadas, and he said, vada, nobody will accept it as a vada unless it has a hole in it, right? So the that kind of a vada, how do you, when you squeeze, that the nozzle that they created made all the difference. Along with that hole that the vada could be created, made an impact, right? So it's innovation is just not about the product. It is even the process, the packaging, the business model innovation. So there are many different domains of innovation that an entrepreneur should get equipped. And here is an example, right? So giving an example is ordinary, being an example is extraordinary. So let me give my own example of being a serial entrepreneur coming from a technology background. I started my first entrepreneurial venture at the age of 24, and started, in different fields. How do we bring computerization into the design of printing technology, and then went on in computerization for MSMEs. How do we use softwares for automation of processes, and then the internet era to the .com, the SaaSes, and created companies which could help build intellectual properties and products. So the journey has been on, and now as a serial entrepreneur, my passion and mission is to nurture new age leadership, and I believe it's going to happen through innovation, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship. And our vision is to engage and enable 1 million people around the world in the next 5 years. So that's the mission and the vision that we are on. And that keeps me driving. And that's what interests me to even talking to all of you, and maybe to be that little extra to inspire you all, right? So with that as an example, here is an opportunity for you all, and you all who are learning technology and aspirants of technology, and that's why you're part of IEEE, and phenomenal organization. When I was in my engineering, there was a IEEE paper presentation, and my partner, so I was a little extra. My little extra was choosing the right partner, and my partner is a geek, phenomenal guy. He was, and he is even today. I was talking to him. He's probably one of those guys who've designed the chips. If this communication is happening, every communication happening in this world today probably is touching the chips that he's designed. So he's a VLSI design guy, my friend Kumar Swami. And we both studied together, did a project together, and presented our paper in IEEE, and we got a second place in All India competition then. So IEEE, we really appreciate, and the kind of platform it has created, right? So you're all already coming with enthusiasm and with the technology, passion for technology and using that. So entrepreneurship would be the icing on the cake. so that you can create big impact too, right? So here is an opportunity. Can you be an example to many others? And I wish you all the very best for that. And with that wishes, is that wishes enough? How do we be a little extra and can we add a little value to you? So let's try. So what I want to do is go a little extra and present a little more about this entrepreneurship wagon. What is this wagon? And is this what you imagine? So this is a fantastic vehicle, right? It's a wagon, and it's a cool thing. And entrepreneurship wagon, the way you imagine, I'm sure. I was asking Sai Sparsha as to what do you people relate entrepreneurs as, and in college in IEEE and as youth, she immediately responded, I think they're the big shots. So I smiled and then I said, yeah, true. It is big shot because not just because they would have probably a lot of money, may not be. They might be struggling, but definitely a big shot for the reason their appetite for risk is much higher. And that needs courage, to take a little extra risk and want to become an entrepreneur. That is why they're called a big shot. They're big shot because they are not just worried about the problem that they want to solve. They are worried about the society. They are worried about problem that they want to take and solve for others, make others' life better and comfortable and convenient, right? So in the process, they get name, fame, money, and many other things. And that is what happiness and prosperity all about. So why entrepreneurship? It is one of those unique things in life which can bring both happiness and prosperity. Otherwise, a lot of people think if the prosperity enters the main door, the happiness leaves the back door. In fact, actually, they need to coexist, right? So you imagine entrepreneurship wagon to be like this, right? Beautiful, classy, and cool, and big shot, and whatnot. So let me tell you, the reality is this. Entrepreneurship wagon looks like this. It is not an easy thing. So this is a wagon which could help you take. It's a deep waters out there. There are a lot of risks. You don't know if there are sharks below, and how deep is the water, and but yet you are interested to hop into this and go to the other side and maybe even help others reach the other side of the shore, right? You want to solve some problem, and and it might be dangerous. It is risky for sure, and you might know swimming, you might not know swimming. Entrepreneurship is such a wagon that this wagon is so different. There's little of this life-saving jackets with you, right? So you need to have courage, and you don't know if whirlpools are there. So this is the reality. I want you all to know. But you know what? It is thrilling. This is what is adventure, right? So you hop into it and try your way out, and you won't know that sometimes you will be just circling there, and it is rotating at the same spot, not able to move, and don't know if there is a current. You might be swept away, and it might wash you out. But that's where the courage and the charm of being an entrepreneur comes, right? So it's not easy, but it is fun too, right? So this is the reality. So let me then move to few myths and few facts. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? And is it true? So a lot of them have a lot of questions and mixed opinions and some statistics. Let me share a few. First of all, I think as a youth, when we've asked many of them as to why would they aspire to become an entrepreneur, a lot of them said it is to make money. Okay, so making money is important. It is an objective in an entrepreneurial venture, and But if that is the only objective, then I think you have to be very watchful and careful, because you might even land up creating badmash companies. So you might have to watch out for that, right? So that cannot be the prime objective. You need to create wealth. Entrepreneurship is a lot beyond. So it's showing stop due to someone
Miss,
else
could
is
you please
presenting.
stop presenting your screen? Yeah, thank you. So you can carry on, sir.
Okay. Is the screen visible for you all?
No, sir. Present it, sir. Present your screen.
Okay. So I have to restart that presenting then. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let me do that. Start broadcast. I am in the count of 3, 2, and 1. We are. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you for being the team and acknowledging. So this is what is important, right? With a team, a good team is required to make something work. And this is a loner's journey. Entrepreneurial journey is a loner's journey, right? So you need the team, the support, the ecosystem, and few more myths that in terms of in the entrepreneurial journey. Well, it is cool, but as I said, it is also risky, but there is a lot of charm and that adventure. And when should you really start? I think many of them have a feeling that they need a lot of experience before they start any entrepreneurial venture. Not necessarily. We've seen more of the fact is that the younger you are, your risk appetite is much higher. And then when you venture onto and your ability to use the technology the way you can is all going to be of benefit to you. One of the fact we saw is that a lot of youth have been very successful in the B2C kind of models, and especially the enterprise ones. We saw that in many entrepreneurial ventures we studied, we saw that people with some experience helped in developing enterprise softwares or enterprise solutions which were required, because they understood the dynamics within the organization, which these are some facts and figures might be of handy to you. Earlier the better, but some more facts and figures let me present. So in the game of entrepreneurship, 91% of ideas don't survive. Here is something for you to digest. 91% of ideas don't survive. This is based on worldwide statistics. It's a very different journey. As I said, it is a lonely journey, but at the same time, it is a very interesting journey. There's no set path, because each journey is very unique. Each entrepreneurial venture is very unique, and each vehicle that you would go in is very unique and different, right? So only 9% survive. Can you imagine? Only 9% worldwide survive, and out of which only 1% goes on to become an enterprise, right? So let us look at what factors influence this, right? And the very first thing I have to say is the ideas which has come to people as just a flash of brilliance. Oh, you thought of an idea that could solve, and that could be the next $1 billion idea. But then in the next day morning, when you woke up, you couldn't even recall that idea, right? Flash of brilliance. You didn't do anything about it. And but many of them would say, I had this idea of Google, what Google did, but it's only that Larry Page and Sergey Brin did something about it, and we didn't, right? So it's flash of brilliance, came and gone. The second one is mismatch of expectation. People aspiring to become an entrepreneur, they came with their own understanding of entrepreneurship. As I said, they probably envisaged a beautiful wagon of that luxurious car, and that you think you are the boss of your own, not knowing only after you became an entrepreneur, you realize that you're a slave of everybody. So yes, you are the boss of your own, but you are the slave of everybody, right? So you are there to serve. So you didn't know that, so, and expectation mismatch, cash flows, your resources, when you're a student, maybe all your needs are taken care by your family, your parents, but here you'll have to take care of others' needs. And or if you quit from a big job and well paid job, and here suddenly that there's no money coming in for you until you really start earning. So here are some of those expectation mismatches, and which you realize that you're not up for entrepreneurial journey, right? The third is a solution looking for a problem, a very important one, because especially those who are geeks and very good in technology, so they hop on to very quickly making entrepreneurial journey as a technology solution. Technology is the driving factor. Technology is everything for them. So they go on to build a solution, not knowing how many people would really want it, do they need it, and they've built assuming that this technology is the going to be the trendsetter and the in thing. And then they start looking for a problem that is worth solving. So here is a classic situation of typically the technology members do is they develop a solution which is then looking for a problem, right? So avoidable. Um, and the third one, I would say, a fourth one, sorry, is agility required during execution is missing. So the speed, the timing is everything. So the speed and the way you need to adapt to and using the right new technology, not just because you know something, you're using it, what is suitable for it, and the kind of people, the dynamics which are involved. So if you don't know how to be agile and meet that requirements and the timing, then the opportunity is lost, right? So not the last, and it's not the least. So there are many. So here are top five I wanted to bring out to you. Missing ability to pivot ideas to stay relevant, right? So for that matter, today during this COVID challenge, COVID to me is a big innovation catalyst. At the same time, it's a big challenge, right? Those who cannot pivot and who would not make themselves relevant, they will be gone. At the same time, those who can, they will thrive. So if they are able to pivot and make themselves relevant, even in the short term, then they have to learn the survival skills. So you'll have to survive so that you can thrive. So be in the game, right? So these are some facts, figures, the myths that I wanted to cover. And, but there are techniques, ways when you are venturing into unexplored arenas and areas. Entrepreneurship journey is like that. So what is that wagon that you could have, frameworks, models that could support you, help you? It's not like you've got the best route map and vehicle to carry you there, but you know how to use your resources well. So let me expose you to a structured way of thinking and a model, a framework which you could follow. This is I3 model. This model is about the three phases of innovation for entrepreneurship, right? The phase one is inspiration. The phase two is ideation, and the phase three is incubation. Then it has to live its own life. So let's have a little dip into this and see what does it mean. Okay. So inspiration, it's very abstract. Where do you draw this inspiration? What is this inspiration? How could it help you in your entrepreneurial journey, right? Inspiration to me is for finding the right problem to be solved. That's the very first step. You need to be inspired. You need to be inspired to get up every morning. Even if you fail, it should inspire you to get up again. And, as we understand, failure is a part and parcel of this entrepreneurial journeys, right? If it is a very smooth journey, there is then the bigger problem of the journey that you've chosen and the wagon you've taken on. So maybe underestimating your own potential. So we are here as entrepreneurs to solve big problems out there. So what problem are we trying to solve? Writing that vision, that mission, and having those values which will guide you through in this journey, right? There's an interesting book by name Founders at Work. You should read that. It's a book which showcases 20 tech companies like Apple, Adobe, Facebook. No, then Facebook was not there when they wrote this book. I think eBay, HP, PayPal. There are many of these tech companies and the founders and their journeys. So you will find it very interesting. There are many commonalities in the journey, but one thing very uncommon is that um, but it is common. It's not easy to identify is the values that they held on to, and in their journey how it helped, right? So it's important that we understand and have that as our guiding principle. So here is a resource for you to inspire innovation and entrepreneurship, a book that I've authored, and it is also dedicated for social cause. It's by name Inseparable Twins. There are 12 paired principles to inspire young minds, so which is you. I'm sure you would enjoy the conversation between Appy and Proppy. They are two elephants who learn about entrepreneurship, innovation, and how they venture from their human friend and a mentor by name Lucky. So I'll leave the rest for you to get a glance of it and dip into the book, right? So with that, second part or the phase of business innovation is ideation. Ideation, in fact, is the process of, how do you generate many ideas and pick one which has that higher winning potential. This definitely increases the chances of your business survival and even help you to thrive, right? So here is a book and a resource by name Found that Sai was mentioning about, and this is the one which has 4 international recognitions. It's been ranked as the best book in entrepreneurship category in USA, and it was very nice to interact with many of the entrepreneurs who've been through the whole journey of ideation. And this has a framework called Found. Found itself is an acronym for 5-part framework for ideation. It's the science of ideation, how the way for you to pick a winning idea, and it's like a little map that you get in your journey, which could help you reach to the treasure, right? Um, so what is this 5-part framework? Found. First part is about free flow of ideas. Then O stands for orientation. The U stands for unearth. N for in negotiation, and D as in decide. So these are the 5 steps of this framework, which will help you distill amongst many ideas to pick one idea which has a higher winning potential. Because I believe not all ideas have business in it. How do you validate? How do you pick an idea which has higher winning potential? All right. At the same time, I also believe no idea is a bad idea if only you know how to classify them, right? And how do you classify and take action accordingly? So here is a framework and idea matrix which would help you. It's another intellectual property that I've shared and provided in this book by name Found. And third, he's here about a model called Rose model, which will help you to validate. You yourself would be able to quickly self-validate an idea if it has business sense in it or not. And we've extensively used this for validating ideas, and even investors, I find it using this, and we've qualified many ideas to support these ideas to become ventures, right? So here is Rose model for you. Um, the third phase of this business innovation would mean incubation. Incubation is that phase where you bring all those aspects like revenue and investment, or naming and branding, team and advisors, research and product, and sales and traction, legal and IP. Many of these paired ones to bring them together. It's just like a baby being born. The 2 eyes, the 2 hands, the 2 legs, and the two nostrils. So all of these coming together to make it functional for this idea which has been conceptualized, which is conceived, all parts coming together, build it in a safe environment and make that a reality, then it has to live its own life. That is operations, right? Of an entrepreneurial venture. So it's easier said than done, but I think it is possible. So here is a little structure and the support system which is available, right? Entrepreneurship ecosystem is getting very evolved. And, so when I used to be a director for Founder Institute, I was instrumental to bring Founder Institute to India, which is with the objective of globalizing Silicon Valley. So I continue to mentor in many different cities and in the world. Recently, I was doing sessions in London where the ecosystem is pretty strong, and the best ecosystem for startups has been Silicon Valley in the US. We wanted to globalize that. So I've mentored entrepreneurs in Kabul and Singapore, of course, in Bangalore, where I live and grew up. And Bangalore being the Silicon Valley of India, Namma Bengaluru now is probably one of the best ecosystems in the world. Again, and the second largest in number of startups that we are supporting. And India itself has come to the second position now in the world. I think there is a lot more opportunity, and the youngsters should have to consider, because job opportunities are fading, will be challenging, especially for those who are coming out. So don't take entrepreneurship as your route just because you're not getting a job. Entrepreneurship should be your passion to really make something work and to solve that problem and to create value for the stakeholders, including yourself and the team, right? And you have to create an impact, right? So that should be your objective if you want to aspire to become entrepreneurs, even to create jobs and provide jobs. So rather than job seeker, be a job provider, right? So interesting journey. So just before I close, this entrepreneurship ecosystem is evolving and continues to evolve, and the kind of support that you could get is you should choose to incubate in an incubator or an accelerator programs. There are many happening. Even big companies, corporates are fostering the entrepreneurs because it is very strategic for them. And industry specific ecosystems and the incubators, accelerators are coming up, and like fintech, edtech, or agri-tech. So there are many of these where technology is becoming a part and parcel of entrepreneurial ventures, especially if you want to scale. Technology plays a big role, and entrepreneurial ventures should consider. See, there is a difference between starting a business versus wanting to become an entrepreneur, right? So it's there is a difference. While business is a subset in the entrepreneurial journey, but it is a little more holistic in approach, and scalability is one of the aspects, and creating value is most important aspect, not just a revenue. So these are some pointers that I want to leave you with, and want you to imagine that your entrepreneurship wagon could be like this. What can we take away from it, right? Number one, human values. Let human values be your path. Important. Without values, your organization might be big but not sustainable. So if you want to really create a company worthwhile, you have to have human values as your path. And innovation be your engine, the controls that you continuously innovate, not just the product, not just the process, even business model innovation and many other aspects. Both the systemic thinking and also the frugal thinking, which is about the in India we are very popular, known as the Jugaad innovation, right? Thinking on your feet. So you have to move forward, make innovation as your engine. So customers be your coach, not just carrying a lot of passengers as your customers, right? But also learn from them, and they can teach you, and that is when it becomes very sustainable. Finance be your fuel, and technology be your wheels, right? With that, I'm open for question and answers, and a big thank you for being part of this webinar. Over to you, Sai.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, participants, if any one of you have a question to ask to sir, kindly unmute your mic and ask them. Sir, Madhuri Ganesh is asking if we can share the copy of PPT which you presented.
Uh, Copy of the PPT is part of the IP of Institute of Inspiring Innovation. I think more than the PPT, it is along with that, what we shared is important, right? So I'm sure PPT didn't by itself had much at all. So I would say it is their participation, and I'm sure if there is a recording that you have, which they would have access, then they would also get to see what was there in the PPT, right? So,
Yes, sir. So, Madhuri, we'll be uploading the same. I mean, whatever webinar we conducted now in our BMSIT IEEE YouTube account. So, you can go there and revisit for your points.
so that recording, because along with what you saw visually, what I said, they complement, they come together, and that is what might be useful. So maybe the recording provided by you should help Madhuri. You said, right? Best wishes, Madhuri. For that learning journey, right? So best wishes for you.
Yes. So, Pulidas Harsha has a question.
Yes.
What would you suggest us to explore the journey of entrepreneur? Could you elaborate, Harsha? I mean, I guess you can unmute your mic and interact with sir directly.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
So, is there any platform in order to for supporting the young entrepreneurs in order to implement their ideologies?
Uh, Yes, there are many platforms, both nowadays, even with virtual and even physical platforms. Um, like there, see, most of these, even engineering and management schools, have started entrepreneur cells. I myself have inaugurated several of them. There is that support system which is available, which you should use as a student entrepreneur. And there are different kind of platforms if you want to validate idea, then the incubators are available, and there are labs which are available, and you can become member in some of these clubs which are there. There are training programs happening, like Founder Institute is creating one next program in Bengaluru, and we do training programs from III Institute of Inspiring Innovation on how do you build that mindset, and how do you think out of the box to generate ideas. How do you go about building incubating it as a part of a business, right? The coaching. So there are many different platforms. Recently I was doing a session for Young Entrepreneur Summit in USA, which was an online one, virtual platform. So you should look up that. And there is another one in Bangalore called Entrepreneur Garage, which in I think in collaboration with Jain institutions, and there are several of those which are there, and you should utilize them. It will
So,
help
what?
you fast track.
So, what would be your opinion? In which frame you just suggest us to present the solutions for the present current problem statements? Sir?
No, I didn't get what you want to ask.
Sir, there are many problem statements, right?
Yeah.
And you just which stream you would like to choose majorly, that we must have a problem solution for that. majorly?
So
Any prioritization?
that is the framework that I was recommending. The found framework helps you in identifying that one problem worth solving. Well, it might be different for each person, but how do you pick that idea which is suitable not only to the market but also to you, right? That orientation has to be there. So you should follow a framework, and which I introduced. And there is a write up on that. There are videos. There are, the book is about that, called Found. So that should help you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. So, Sai Sparsha, any other questions? There's one more
Yes,
minute,
sir.
so we can probably take, one or two questions.
I guess participants are done with their questions.
Wonderful. Okay, so we are on time. It's 7.
Second, we at BMS IT, what we do is we ask some rapid fire questions to the speaker. So we have them ready this time.
Okay.
I would like to welcome my friend Rubini to carry on with the rapid fire questions.
Okay, so I don't have an armor, so she's ready to shoot. Let me see if I can catch those.
Yes, sir.
We are entrepreneurs, right? We get onto the field, and we are fighters, so we're ready. So you can fire.
Over to you, Rubini.
Yes, thank you, Sai Sparsha. Yes, I'll ask the first question to you, sir. What was your inspiration which made you become an entrepreneur, sir?
So I think for me, an inspiration then, when I became an entrepreneur, I was like, I grew up in my dad's grocery store, so business probably was there. But then after my engineering, I went abroad to work and in the technology space. Then I chose that I wanted to come back to my country and do something here, and that freedom to try new things, and to bring a change in the market. That freedom and that spirit probably pushed me to become an entrepreneur. And my journey started that way. But also, I've worked in large enterprises like Wipro Technologies, and digital then became HP. So I was a part of these large enterprises too, and worked in companies also globally. So I understand the both sides, and even as an employee, I used to think like an entrepreneur. That differentiated my contribution and effort even within the organization. And today, entrepreneurship is on a big race. So my inspiration was that I needed that freedom, at the same time the spirit to bring some change, try new things, and make a difference in the world.
That was really wonderful, sir. I'll go with my second question. Who was your most inspired person in your life?
Oh, there are many. In entrepreneurship, like as I took one example of Murli Ulaganti, the spirit, the commitment to make a difference. So he's been one of my inspiration. And Mr. V.V. Ranganathan, who started Entrepreneur of the Year award program for EY. And so he's been a big inspiration for me to learn the traits of entrepreneurship. And then and now definitely Sri Satya Sai Baba, who's my guru, in fact did say that why he felt youngsters should embrace entrepreneurship, because it could build a sustainable economy, and the future is going to be the entrepreneurial. Adio Rassi is another inspiration for me as the founder of Founder Institute, where he's been a person, as got his companies listed $1 billion worth companies, but his objective is to enable entrepreneurship, and throughout the world, how do we globalize Silicon Valley, and the understanding that how entrepreneurship actually is the way that even the developing countries emerge and move to the level of developed countries. It's the entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurship is the way. And that way, to me, every entrepreneur is an inspiration.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. The third question is like, what was the one hardest decision you ever had to make?
Hardest decision that I ever had to make. This is a hard question, and I think the one there are many. There are many. When when the company is doing well, and how do you transition out, and even to move out as a CEO, to transition to somebody else who would run that, is been one of the hardest decision that I had to make, so that I could go and do the next startup that I wished as a ambition in my life. Is been one hard one. And second, I think another one I would never forget this is because after my engineering, I got selected as pilot officer for Indian Air Force, and when I got through, it was hard, and got recognition that I was getting into, and that was my school time dream. But later chose to become an entrepreneur. So it was a hard decision. But then, even as entrepreneurs, we are serving the community, country at large. So yes, today, even during the COVID, I think entrepreneurs are the warriors who would actually help build the economy again, rebuild that. So that is very essential. So yeah, many hard decisions, but you have to take, and that's what makes you an entrepreneur.
That was really great one, sir. Moving to the fourth question, being an entrepreneur, did it affect your family life?
uh, I think you got one wonderful point out for the benefit of all the listeners and people who have tuned in for today's program here. See, you need a big support from family if especially you are becoming an entrepreneur. So as an entrepreneur, we don't discriminate entrepreneurship with life and work. They are not two different things. They become one. In fact, we don't even know how to balance work life because it's not two different things, right? And in that journey, if in that wagon of entrepreneurship wagon, if that support from your family isn't there, then it is very hard. It makes it much harder for you to accomplish, and the journey becomes much tougher. So in my own case, I think there's been a lot of support, and the sacrifices. And in fact, when this startup, when I had to do, as building IIII Institute of Inspiring Innovation, one of the things that I had to tell my family is, guys, you know what, I'm getting back into entrepreneurial venture. The comforts, the convenience that they might have might all have to be compromised, and were they with me? So I had to enroll them, and their support, I think, is what giving me the strength to be what I am and trying to do this. So I'm sure every entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, would have to enroll, and their support from their family is very required. They are the unsaid support, unseen support just behind you, holding your back. So it's very important that they are with you.
Yes, sir. It was so true, sir. Thank you. That's all for today. Rapid fire questions, sir. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you for those firing shots and nice ones. I enjoyed being with you all, and I hope it has been useful. Best wishes for
So
all
one
those
second.
members.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot for answering those questions. I guess students are inspired now because they're coming up with questions now. So we have one question from Saharsh Pamecha, which is, sir, how to streamline a domain in order to go with some innovation?
What is it? How
Uh,
do I
how to
streamline a
streamline
domain?
our domain in order to go with some innovation?
Okay, looks like question has an answer at the same time. Um, it's a big question. So if I understand it well, let me try and put it in a way that, if you choose a domain, then it actually helps you in the journey of innovation. Because it can be, your innovation could be agnostic to a domain. It could be technology domain, or it could be an industry domain. So you might want to, and there are many domains within innovation that you could utilize. So the more understanding and the clarity on it will help you in the journey of innovation. So you having a grip on the domains will help you in your innovation journey.
Um, yes, sir. I guess, Saharsh, you're clear with your point. Harsha is asking you to mention the name of books once again, sir.
The books of the ones that I shared here
Yes,
is
sir.
Inseparable Twins to Inspire Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Then the book Found, 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 is a book for ideation, which is about, from your unlimited thoughts, transforming your unlimited thoughts into one sustainable business. That is the book Found. And a little extra is a book of illustrations for you to develop the mindset which is required, a little extra mindset which entrepreneurs would need. And I also, during my presentation, referred to a book by name Founders at Work, which I think you should read that book, fantastic book. And even some of the books like Harvard Business Review on business model innovation might be a worth thing, because as much as technology innovation, and I'm sure IEEE and all would provide you a lot of resources on product and technology innovation, you should also look at business model innovation, which might help you in your journey, right? So of entrepreneurial journey. So these are some books that I referred during my presentation today.
Um, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Mani Chandra is asking, where do we get those books? I mean, in Amazon or somewhere in those
Yeah.
platforms like that.
Yes. Amazon does have my books uh, Inseparable Twins and Found. And in fact, Inseparable Twins book is also dedicated for social cause. So each of the book is feeding 2 meals in a midday meal program. And the book actually helped to raise funds for rural projects in dairy, and water project in another rural location. And National Association for Blind has used it for fundraising from the industry body for for the visually challenged members. And so it's doing its little bit in helping. And this is the power of IP, right? Intellectual property. When it could be put into use, whether you do something or not, something is working. So while the book itself is to inspire innovation and entrepreneurship, it is also creating some social impact. And incidentally, this book is being found recently. The head of T Hub, which is the India's largest startup incubator, Mr. Samir Chabra, he sent me a picture from Dr. Abdul Kalam's museum in Delhi. In his personal collection, he shared with me a picture that has Inseparable Twins in his collection. So it's a proud moment for me, because this book is going to live even long beyond myself. And if he is an inspiration to so many people around the world, and to have this book in his personal collection would mean a lot to me. And now there's a chartered accountant who's a very active member in the startup ecosystem. She's translated this book, Inseparable Twins, in Kannada, very soon in a few, maybe in a couple of months, it would be launched. And the idea is to help entrepreneurship being fostered at the grassroots level, taking the concepts to the grassroots level where rural side also, how do they develop this, be inspired to become entrepreneurs and do it right. Right. So these books are, even Kindle version is available. And a little extra in India is available on Flipkart, and in outside of India, it is available in Amazon.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I once again wholeheartedly thank you for accepting our invitation and delivering such a worthful session. I mean, I guess the inputs which you gave today will be helpful for students to further excel in their entrepreneurial life. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you very much, and wish you all the very best in this wonderful entrepreneurial journey that you aspire. And this wagon is very interesting. You create your own wagon. That's the beauty of it. And at the same time, whether you even join a large enterprise, big corporates, entrepreneurs are most sought after. And how do you think like an entrepreneur even within a large enterprise is very essential today. And during these challenging times, entrepreneurs are the ones which are going to make this country and the world at large come back on its feet. So best wishes in that journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And I thank the participants for participating in the webinar. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Stay healthy.